Ransom was paid to the Russian group behind the attack that crippled the Kansas electronic case system.
The ransomware attack on the judicial branch was the main part of the Chief Justice's address to Kansas lawmakers today. Sean Logging talks about the next steps it's now taking to keep it from happening again.
Chief Justice Marla Lukert saying Wednesday the Kansas Judicial Branch has put in place new hardware and software protections and policy changes. She says that was needed in order to restore the system to keep it from being vulnerable to another attack. The October ransomware attack impacting the electronic court management system, shutting it down for months. District courts relying on paper records to track cases. The system has slowly been coming back online, with many counties restored last month. The rest are expected in the next 2 weeks. Chief Justice Lukert saying that they're still working to determine other aspects of this hack.
The forensic examination confirmed the cyber criminals' claim that they had exfiltrated some data. We are working hard to determine what and whose personal information has been compromised by the criminal actors so that we can notify those individuals.
In addition to the cyber attack, Chief Justice Lukert's speech also focusing on cooperation between the three branches of government, including in areas of mental health, addressing a shortage of attorneys, especially in rural areas, and child welfare cases. She also laid out her ask of lawmakers to increase pay for non-judge employees at the Kansas Judicial Branch and for the creation of new cybersecurity positions. At the State House, Sean Logging, 12 News.